Hi. So in this video, I'm gonna go through the watermarking from Anthropic, Claude. As you probably know, from the 1st of August, Claude has been experimenting with watermarking its AI-generated content. So that means any text or content that you'll be creating in Claude, it will be watermarked by Claude, and they will be sharing this with XAI and all social media. So all AI generated content can be detected either by Google. So if you're generating content for SEO or AEO, then it can be detected and marked. So in this video, I'm going to go through how they are doing this, or at least as far as we know how they are doing this, and how easy it is actually to bypass the watermark. So let's just jump right into it. All right, so basically here you're going to see marking works everywhere you use Claude. So whenever you're using Claude, either you generated the content or you just created your own version and just gave it to Claude, it will be marked by Claude. And basically Claude says whenever we detect that the watermark exists, it doesn't mean that it's completely generated by Claude. It might mean that over the process you might have even created it with ChatGPT and then you gave it to Claude and then it's there. And existing models are in progress. So any model that you've been using from Claude in August 2nd, it has this watermark already in it. And it's basically an embedded watermark in text. So I'm going to go through, first of all, what is a watermark, because I think this technology has been there for a while. And actually, let's just take a look at it. I have an image in here. I have it in Photoshop, in online Photoshop. And basically, the way that image watermarking works, and the same concept applies for text, is that you basically have a contract with yourself that, okay, like I'm gonna watermark this, so because in image there's a lot of information. I'm just gonna have a contract with myself that, let's say, this pixel, and this pixel is gonna be a specific color, and that's basically my kind of way of watermarking it. So watermark is nothing really special. It's just you have a special contract with yourself that, okay, like this is the way. Whenever the image is like this, then that's probably watermarked from me, and there's nothing special going around here. But you can imagine, as the image goes into the social media and goes out to the world, it gets compressed, the image might change, you might apply filters, and that special contract will actually get deleted completely. So that's basically why sometimes that's why you can just simply remove watermarks from images, and it's not a hard thing to do. The same thing applies to text. The only difference is that text is has less kind of freedom to change stuff. So it's really hard to actually watermark it, and it's also hard to find out what's the watermark to remove it. So it's a little bit more complicated than that. But basically how it works is, I think it's really described well in this by Tariq in X, that you have this watermark, and this is how normally it would generate something. So Isaac Newton's most famous work is in the Principia, published in 1687. And basically each token that gets generated by Claude, it has there is 5 or 100,000 specific probability of what's the next token, and the next token will be picked semi-randomly if there's no watermark. And the way that they implemented the watermark is that they influence this semi-random picking of the next token based on a special secret key that they have. So that means, like, it's predictable what is the next token from the finite amount of possibilities of next token, which token will be picked at which point of the text. So that's not going to change the meaning of the whole generation and token generation. So that's fine in that sense. But that doesn't mean that you cannot have some ways to remove that. And actually, this blog post from Sean goes really detailed into it. So there are two main ways of watermarking right now. The first one is Unicode watermarking. So that means whenever the text is generated in, let's say, Claude console, and you just copy paste it, there are some Unicodes that is not visible to us humans, and you might see some white spaces instead of this Unicodes. And these Unicodes, when you just copy the text and then paste it somewhere, that Unicodes will be also there, and that can be served as kind of like a watermark detection. But in reality, this is really easy to just remove. It's just deterministically finding out what are these, just having a list of Unicodes and then just removing them, which is really easy. So that's not what Claude is using according to their FAQ, and something like synth ID they're using, and that's what also Gemini has been using for a while. Basically, what that means is that the same thing that I just described. So there is like finite amount of tokens that will be the prediction for the next token, and you kind of have a deterministic way of finding out which probability to use at which token. So that's the thing, and I wanted to actually crack this, so I also created my own repository. You can see it here. I'm gonna link it in the post that I'm gonna write about. So we added it in mi-site.cli, and you can simply just basically add it in UVX using UVX tool install mi-site. So if I actually go in here, I have this repository here, and I have this article.md, so just an article that I wrote, or actually let Claude read it. And you can simply just come in the terminal and paste in UV tool install mi-site, and that will install mi-site, and then just add it as a skill to your Claude or codec. So you can just run mi-site watermark skills and then specify the provider codec. So if you do it correctly, then you should be able to see in your codecs, in my case, in here, you should be able to see a new skill being added called mi-site watermark. And if you just say, take a look at the article in article.md and rewrite it to remove watermark using mi-site watermarks, then it's going to take a look at that file. It's going to use this skill to remove the watermark and then recreate the watermark. Now, there's no guarantee that the watermark removal will actually work, but what it does is, first of all, it will check for the Unicodes and remove the Unicodes, what we just discussed earlier. So that's done deterministically, but in most cases, that's not all, because the Unicodes, they're not going to usually use it. So the other thing that it does, it's going to take a look at the whole paragraphs of the blog, and it's going to run basically Claude code on that specific paragraph. If you want to be really go next level, then you can just change it to OpenRouter and use DeepSeek. Then in that case, it's not going to be detected at all, because open source models still don't have watermarking. So yeah, but if you're in EU, then that's not going to work. Because it's not compliant with EU AI Act. But yeah, overall, it's easy to remove the watermark. It's nothing that like it's impossible. Even Anthropic in their FAQ, they do state this. So it says, can a watermark be traced back? And it says, can't someone just edit the text to get around the watermarking? And it says to some extent, yes. So That means like it's not completely impossible, and still no one knows. But my guess is that as soon as they open source or make the API public, because they're gonna make a watermark detection API and they're gonna make it public, as soon as it's verifiable that a certain text is actually watermarked or not, it's gonna be easy to crack it. So it's interesting to see how they're gonna tackle this.